this premier event. I'm happy to talk to you today about specifically the engineering side of the School of Engineering and Computer Science. So normally, hang on, let me get my slides to advance. Normally I have 45 minutes for this talk, and I'm going to try to do it in 15 so that we'll have some time for questions. And so that's a real challenge for me. I'm a professor. I'm programmed to speak 50 minutes at a time. So I wanted to start with this list, what we call the program highlights. I'm not going to go through everything right now, but the highlights of the list, the first few bullet items are caring Christian community, world-class faculty with small class sizes, and we have this intentional approach to job searches. So we're going to talk more about that as we go, and I'll probably end with this slide as well. And so to get started, though, I wonder if you have thought deeply about engineering, if you know exactly what it is. I think most people don't know exactly what that would be. And so I really love the Far Side. Here's a great cartoon from the Far Side. And I have the arrows drawn to the scientist in the picture. And the caption is, "It's time we face reality, my friend. We're not exactly rocket scientists." And so I think, engineers are really rocket scientists if that's their field. And there is a difference between science and mathematics. And what I want to talk to you a little bit today is about that. And I have a list that says scientists, mathematicians, lawyers, MBAs, artists. And those are all different professions, but engineers kind of wrap their minds a little bit around all these items to become the best engineer. All right, so let's talk about that a little bit. I want you to think a little bit about creative professions. And probably the first thing that comes to mind is the arts. You see someone painting, you see people singing, you see musicians playing instruments, those sorts of things. We think of that as being creative. And I think that's important because I believe God instills upon most human beings the desire to create and to contribute and to make society better. And so what I want to impress upon you is that engineering is a way to make these things happen. They're very creative professions. We're not scientists. Scientists have their own way of thinking, the scientific method. You have hypotheses, you do experiments, you try to come up with conclusions. It's a very formal process, okay? And mathematicians, of course, have their theorems and rules for math, and it's very elegant. I love mathematics. But they're still constrained by these rules. And what we have in engineering is we can borrow some from the sciences, we can borrow some from mathematicians, we can even borrow from the artists and come up with creative things that are solutions to some of the problems that we have in society. And so what I wanted to do next was just sort of broaden your horizon, show you pictures of engineering. I think that's better than to try to put it into words. So I have here power and energy. That's one of the things we do well at Baylor. And of course, that's an important topic these days as we're facing problems associated with climate change. Power and energy is just a wide open field and lots of things that we can do as engineers to help contribute to solutions there. I like this slide because I love control systems. Here's a picture of a robot arm and a jet aircraft, and there's some math involved. I teach a class that actually uses these kind of things called a PI controller. And so it's exciting to be able to apply these things in interesting areas. I'm not a mechanical engineer, I'm an electrical and computer engineer, but I also love mechanical engineering. I teach a little bit of that in the freshman class. And there's just so many things you can do in mechanical engineering these days, especially with additive manufacturing, where you can 3D print different parts and come up with some amazing designs. Mechanical engineering is the biggest engineering discipline. And so we have that here at Baylor. I am an electrical and computer engineer, and my specialty is actually communication theory. 5G is coming. It probably says that on your phone if you have a new phone. And there's going to be all kinds of new applications that come out of that because of the latency issues that are solved when we fully convert over to 5G. Computer systems, you know all about those, you've used those. Biomedical applications, we have some students that are very interested in biomedical. There's an intersection of mechanical engineering and electrical and computer engineering, lots of things that you can do in that area. And if you think about the world, there's all kinds of things where engineering is embedded. We've been looking at electric cars and auto driving cars and autonomous systems and artificial intelligence. All those things are coming out of engineering and computer science. You probably heard of the Internet of Things. There's just a whole ton of topics that I think are very exciting, and you can use your creative talent and energy and probably your interest in math and science to help contribute in these areas. So the next thing on my slide list is, what does it take to become an engineer? I know when I was a freshman and thinking about engineering, I wasn't really sure what that would even mean. And so I think if you have this natural inclination of you want to know how things work, you're pretty decent at math, you have an interest in the sciences. I give everybody a pass on chemistry because chemistry, that was a little bit more abstract for me, but some people are really interested in that area as well. Hopefully you like computers because you end up using computers a lot in the profession. Technology, design, and then here's the thing that's you may not think of. You're going to be working on a team. It's very important to be able to contribute because all of the world's problems today are hard to solve and you can't do it alone. So we work in teams. All right. So it's important also to be able to communicate your ideas, and all these things are working together to help you become an engineer. We also get questions about what is the high school prep. I don't want you to be afraid of coming into engineering if you haven't had, for example, all the way through Cal 2 in high school. You don't need that. We just need you to be really pretty good at pre-calculus skills so you'll be ready to jump into a calculus course when you come to Baylor. And if you're not quite ready for that, we have a path in as well where you could take a pre-calculus class and transition into engineering. We hope that everybody has a little bit of science and chemistry that just helps smooth things along for you. And if you've had some advanced English, you can even place out of English. Okay, so those are some things to think about. All right, at Baylor, we have electrical and computer engineering. We have mechanical engineering. We have another form of engineering that we call, we just call it engineering. It's not really general engineering because you specialize in different concentration areas like biomedical or environmental, geopetrol, or something unique to Baylor is humanitarian engineering. So those are the majors that we have. I have a snapshot of some of the enrollment statistics. I don't want to dwell on this too much, but I want to give you an idea of, we have talented students coming into the program. Our average SAT is around 1350. Average ACT is 30. Of course, we're going scores optional, and so you don't have to take these tests, but we would like to see, some good grades in high school to get into the program. We have it was about 900 students in the fall of 2019. We're somewhere in that range, a little bit less, but right around the 800 to 900 range is where we tend to keep our enrollment. Average class size is 22. So I talked about that, where you get a chance to know your professors. Okay, so those are some statistics. We also emphasize that we have a caring faculty with a Christian commitment. That's one unique selling point at Baylor. The other thing that I like to tell students is that when you come to Baylor, you have a chance to get hands-on experience right away. In our freshman classes, we have some design projects, and you get into the fab shops and you 3D print things and you build stuff and you make projects and you get a chance to exercise that creativity right away. And then we emphasize design throughout the curriculum. There's a course called Junior Design. And then when you get to be a senior, you take on more substantial projects that often are industry sponsored, okay? And so that gives you some real world resources to throw at some of these problems. Here's an example of our Baylor utility vehicle that was part of a senior design project. We've had some humanitarian interest type projects where we built a power chair for a young child. And there's just lots of different types of applications that you do with senior design. It's one really strong selling point of our program. Of course, there's the Baylor community. That's a big selling point. Students come to Baylor and love being here and part of this community, this Christian community. You have plenty of chances to get involved with student activities. at the professional level, and there's also the chance to do that where you can do service type activities. We have, for example, a chapter of engineers with a mission that often do things within the community and even take mission trips to various places. So for example, here's an engineers with a mission trip in Haiti, 2018, where they're applying some of the ideas that they learned from engineering to put different types of energy conversion systems in place where they're needed. Okay. We also have some competition type student organizations. Here's a picture of the IEEE robotics team that placed second in the regional contest a few years ago. And we always participate in Baylor Baja, where you make this vehicle under some certain specifications, and that's a real popular competition as well. Another thing we point to is our success with helping you transition to that career that you really want. Okay, so we have in place within our school, we have an ECS Career Center. And when you come to Baylor, you start out with a 4-year professional development plan where we start right away in the freshman classes, working on, coming up with that resume and getting involved with projects and meeting that professor that you can work with them in their lab. All these things that look good on a resume. We're big enough now where we attract a significant number of employers to our career fair, over 300 employers. And so we can point to some really good success rates for Baylor students. A lot of times Baylor students actually want to go on to graduate school, so that's part of our success rate as well. So in 2021, we had an 85% success rate. And if you think about that, that's pretty remarkable given the weirdness of COVID and how that's impacted hiring. And what we're seeing right now is a very strong demand coming from industry for engineers. So we were at 85% before the pandemic. We were right around 91% success rate. I expect us to return to the 90s this upcoming year. So you can see the average salary, $77,000. If you go to the West Coast, you get even bigger salaries because the cost of living is there, and you would expect more, I guess. And you even are seeing signing bonuses in the $10,000 range. So we can point to that. And if you look at, let's see, I got these out of order. If you look at some of the companies that hire, they're just well-known companies. And there's also little small engineering shops that hire that are very interesting opportunities to work in. We have some students working locally doing cool projects. And the good thing about that is they do it all. It's really kind of remarkable. Okay. I mentioned graduate school. A lot of our students are interested in having advanced degrees. I want to let you know, I know you're not even in school yet, but graduate degrees are an important option to consider because there's a big demand in the US for people with advanced degrees in engineering. It's been kind of hard to place that. And so graduate school is a great option, and we have a good success rate at launching people into quality graduate programs. So let me wrap up a little bit. I wanted to go back to these program highlights, and hopefully you've seen what I've talked about with the caring Christian community, the small classes, the emphasis on jobs. We also have a holistic advising approach to help you get through our program. When you start at Baylor, you participate in a new student experience course that helps you get off on the right foot. There are research opportunities, student organizations, and I didn't have time to talk about Teal. Teal is a residential college that you can come and live with other engineering students and computer science students, and that just helps build that community even further. So that kind of wraps up my part for the presentation. I think the next plan is to do a Q&A.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Thompson, for that great information. Good morning, everyone. My name is Emily Sandball. I'm so excited to be with you all. The Q&A feature via Zoom is how we are going to moderate questions for Dr. Thompson. So feel free to drop any questions that you have about our programs there, and we'll spend the remainder of our 10-ish, 8-ish minutes together answering questions. So Dr. Thompson, first question here. Can you talk a little bit about our pre-engineering program? Can you declare mechanical, electrical, or engineering right off the bat? What does that look like for students coming into Baylor?
Well, that's a great question because that actually looks like it's changing a little bit. I think some decisions were made yesterday that yes, you can come in as pre-engineering, but if you are ready to go in terms of your math requirements, if you're ready to go with Calculus 1, you can jump right into one of the engineering disciplines. You'll be able to declare a major in ECE or engineering or mechanical engineering right away. And then if you're not quite ready for that first calculus class, we have a track where you can do pre-engineering. Pre-engineering is where you'd come in. You'd still be a part of the engineering program. And we would have a course that we haven't titled it yet, but think of it as an exploring engineering type of course where we let you know a little bit more about what engineering is and then help you with that transition, because a lot of students are, if you're not quite calculus ready, this course is designed to help with the pre-calculus type of math skills that you need, the engineering kind of thinking kind of skills that you need to be a successful engineer. So even if you didn't have, everybody has different thoughts on what they feel like their preparation level is. And if you went to a high school that didn't have a lot to offer in terms of preparation for engineering, and you're not quite confident on those math skills yet, this is a great starting point. And we have a plan even to get you caught up with the rest of the class so that you can still graduate in those 4 years. So those are kind of the things we're thinking, and we'll put more information about that on the website probably in the next coming month.
Great, thanks for sharing that. So we have a question here from a student about to see if there's room when they're a freshman, can they explore both engineering and computer science that first year? If they're not ready to commit to one or the other, what does that look like for a student?
Yeah, I think, there's enough commonality in that freshman year in terms of the curriculum for engineering and computer science that would certainly be possible. Now, would it be a good idea to take engineering 1301 and computer science 1430, the first courses, at the same time? That sort of depends on your background. And, I think that might be a little challenging to try to take both intro courses at the same time. But, another plan might be if you started engineering, electrical and computer engineering also has the intro to computer science class as part of the degree requirements. And so it's kind of natural to also wait and explore computer science. And you can do it in reverse. If you took the computer science course first and you say, oh, that's totally not for me. Our new plan for how we approach the intro classes is that you can jump back into engineering 1301 in the spring semester and get caught up. So.
Great, thanks so much. All right, next question here is, what kind of programs or assistance, and maybe you can talk about the curriculum in engineering 1301, our intro to engineering class, do we have for incoming students or freshman students to explore the different types of engineering that we offer?
Okay, great. Yeah. We really want you to learn what engineering is about, and our intro to engineering class, we have some reading assignments, and it's taught by both electrical engineers and mechanical engineers and computer engineers. And so you get that experience from just having conversations with your professors. And then the curriculum is designed to give you a little bit of a taste for both electrical and computer engineering and mechanical engineering. We do a little bit of circuits on the electrical engineering side, and then we do something called statics, where you look at trusses and structures that are used to support bridges. Those kind of things give you a feel for what it's like between those two. And then we have some projects that involve both mechanical engineering and electrical engineering. The electrical engineering part is supported by Arduinos. I don't know if you've heard of those, but they're little microprocessor boards that let you do some electrical engineering support for various projects. And so you get a taste of it And then in 1302, you also get more on that. And so the first year is completely common between ECE, engineering, and mechanical engineering. So after that first year, you can decide on how you want to specialize.
Great. Thank you so much for that. Let's see. Are there any engineering classes in high school that will help as they get to college? Maybe can you expand a little bit more on the high school preparation that you talked about earlier?
Yeah, and my take on the ideal high school prep is that what I see is that you really need to have strong skills in what I would call pre-calculus. Okay, so pre-calculus includes trig and algebra, and maybe a little bit of analytical geometry, but that's not essential. If you're really good at manipulating equations algebraically, understanding the trig, that gives you a really strong starting point. And in fact, I would rather see someone really strong in the pre-calculus skills than to have stretched it a little bit and gone up all the way through something like Cal 2, where they didn't get as much practice at the pre-calculus skills. I think you see the trade-off that I'm saying. And so if you're not up at Cal 1 or Cal 2, don't worry about it. Just really focus on those pre-calculus skills. And if you still feel like you're not up to it, then it's possible to get some practice on something called ALEX, is what we use to help score how people are prepared for the math part of engineering. ALEX has a tutorial component to it, so you can get some practice in with that. Hopefully in high school, you've also got to experience some science classes and had some fun with that. What we really want you to do is sort of fall in love with the things that you do in this profession. I think that's the key element. If it's not a natural fit, if you're not really interested in these topics, it's going to be hard to excel. But there's plenty of cool things to work on if that's your calling.
Great. And I think we have time for one more question. And so that question is, what does academic help look like in and outside the classroom? Are professors welcome to helping students in and outside the classroom?
Yes, emphatically yes. In fact, I'm routinely disappointed that not enough, in my opinion, not enough students show up for office hours. I realize professors can be a little bit intimidating, but we try not to be, and we want students to come by. And we have regularly scheduled office hours and try to do things to knock down those barriers for coming in. Like in my class, I usually have what I call the note card assignment. So when you're a freshman, you fill out this note card that has your name and your interest and what you've done in high school, and you come to my office, deliver this note card so that we have a chance to have a conversation, and you've kind of broken down that barrier for establishing a conversation. So we're really interested in that. And then we also know students sometimes are a little shy about that. So we have some tutoring resources that are set up, and Emily does a great job of keeping that happening at our Learning Resource Center. And so plenty of chances for academic support.
Fantastic. Thanks, Dr. Thompson. Dawn, we'll hand it back over to you.
Thank you both so much. Great questions, great information. We really appreciate everyone here today, and hope you have a great rest of the Saturday. Bye-bye.